OmniTalk Fast 5 is brought to you by the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Miracle, the catalyst of commerce. Over 450 retailers are now opening new revenue streams with marketplaces, dropship, and retail media, and succeeding. With Miracle, you can unlock more products, more partners, and more profits without the heavy lifting. What's holding you back? Visit miracle.com to learn more. That's MIRAKL.com. And Simbi. Simbi powers the most retail banners in the world with today's only multimodal platform for in-store intelligence. See how Albertsons, BJ's, Spartan Nash, and Wakefern win with AI and automation at SimbiRobotics.com. And Infios. At Infios, they unite warehousing, transportation, and order management into a seamless, adaptable network. Infios helps you stay ahead from promise to delivery and every step in between. To learn more, visit Infios.com. And Clear Demand. Pricing shouldn't be guesswork. Clear Demand's AI-powered pricing, data, and optimization solutions help retailers stay competitive while protecting margins. Smarter pricing, stronger profits. Clear Demand makes it happen. Learn more at cleardemand.com/OmniTalk. And finally, Ocampo Capital. Ocampo Capital is a venture capital firm founded by retail executives with the aim of helping early-stage consumer businesses succeed through investment and operational support. Learn more at ocampocapital.com. Hello, you are listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally and currently the only retail podcast ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. The Retail Fast 5 is a podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast 5 is just one of the many great podcasts that you can find from the OmniTalk Retail Podcast Network, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. We are back. It's April 9th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Sam Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we're here once again, back from spring break, to discuss all the headlines from the past week, making waves in the world of omni-channel retailing. Chris, I feel like before we get the show started, we need to have a moment of silence for one of your all-time favorites who recently passed last week, Val Kilmer. How are you doing with this loss?
And I appreciate you allowing me to take the time here. You know,
yes.
It was a very sad week in the Walton household, as it was for America, I'd say, and too, because
wow,
you know, I was surprised at how much I saw about Val Kilmer going through my feeds. Could be because those are all personalized to me. I don't know. But, you know, Val Kilmer holds a very special place in my heart. I've told this story on the podcast before. In our old podcast studio, both when we had the actual physical podcast studio space and in my old podcast studio as well back home, you know, we used to have a picture of Val Kilmer in his flight suit in behind me in every podcast as well. So he's been as much a part of OmniTalk as anyone, Ann. And for those that I've told this story before, believe it or not, he was my doppelganger as a young man. Doesn't look like that so much anymore, folks. But at one point, I had the entire Stanford University campus convinced I was his brother. So Val, 65 years young, we're going to miss you. You'll forever be Iceman to me. And what does Val Kilmer mean to you, Ann? I'm curious.
I mean, clearly not as much as he means to you, but
he doesn't mean that much to anyone as much as he means to me, Ann. Honestly, like, swear to God.
Yeah, I mean, it was sad. He's been sick for ever since Maverick 2 came out. Maverick 2, is that what that was? Top Gun 2. I don't even know. See, clearly it's
Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Seeing him was just a sad reminder of
that was heartwarming too, wasn't it? So what is your forever iconic Val Kilmer role before we get to the headlines, Ann? Is it Iceman?
Batman?
Is it Jim Morrison? Batman? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Batman.
I guess.
Batman.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand.
Doc Holliday.
I'm just here to support you and your time of need right now, Chris. That's really the biggest role that I can play right now when it comes to the news of Val Kilmer.
Thank you. And like I said, it has been emotional. It's been an emotional moment for me and America weeps for Val.
It does. Well, Chris, we're going to talk about somebody else now. Can we move on? Are you going to be okay?
Yes, and I think I can move
Okay.
on for the
All
for the
right.
interest of the show. I can put my
Okay.
tears aside. I can wipe them
Okay.
away, and because
Okay.
for those
Okay.
news to the podcast, it's time to present our OmniStar Award. And our OmniStar Award is the award we give out each month in partnership with Corso to recognize the top omnichannel operators out there. Not the pundits, not the so-called experts, but the real-life retail operators making a difference in their organizations. Corso's AI Copilot coaches retail leaders to optimize store performance at every level, transform retail operations from data overload into data powered. This month's award goes to Anu Narayanan, president of Anthropology, Women's and Home. This month's winner, Anne, again, this is another
Yes.
one. This one holds a special place in my heart because, believe it or not, Anu was the very first person I met when I started my retail career. I walked into the Gap back in 1999,
Oh
and
my
there was
God.
Anu. She was, I know, right? She was my designated what they called mentor at the time. And she clearly has gone on to bigger and better things than mentoring me. And she's been absolutely kicking some tail at Anthropology. So we salute her for this award.
Yeah, she's just one of the absolute greats. I feel
Awesome.
like every time I see her, she's so willing to give her time to talk and catch up. And everybody that you meet who's worked with or who's been on stage with or who knows Anu, just has incredible things to say about her and the work that she's been doing for our industry in her time at the Gap, at Anthropology, and everywhere in between. So congratulations, Anu. This one's for you.
Yeah, right. And at one point, I was talking to her into getting on the show, so I got to go back to her and see maybe now we have her on the
Yes.
show for some type of segment. But all right, in this week's Fast Five, we've got news on Instacart introducing something it calls will call delivery. Old Navy partnering with Radar to roll out its RFID solution. San Diego banning digital only store coupons because we all know what San Diego means. Amazon's release of a new AI agent that will shop third party sites for you. And David Dorf of AWS coincidentally also stops by for 5 insightful minutes on just that agentic AI. But we begin today with big news out of Best Buy and
Yes. Headline number one, Chris. Best Buy has debuted a new creator program that features shoppable storefronts. According to a Best Buy press release, Best Buy Storefronts gives creators the ability to create a one stop shop to highlight tech featured in their content and earn a commission on sales referred through their storefront with no commission cap. Several leading tech influencers are joining Best Buy Creator Program at launch with their own storefronts, including Linus Sebastian of Linus Tech Tips, who has over 16
oh yeah,
million YouTube
Linus Tech
subscribers,
Tips.
obviously, and 8 billion
Obvi.
views, as well as popular and trusted tech reviewer Judner Aura, also known as your average customer.
Yeah, he is.
Chris,
Or she
obviously,
is. I don't know. Gender. I'm assuming it's a guy.
I know. Well, we know that they have a lot of aura, so that's a great thing. But Chris, are you buying or selling Best Buy's new storefronts for creators?
Ooh. I like this story. I'm buying this for the here and the now. The here and the now and the future is what I meant to say, if I'm going to do
Okay,
this correctly.
okay.
And the reason I say that is this is something I used to talk on the show about years back. I don't feel like I've talked about it as much, although I think it's been coming back recently based on the recent headlines. And that is that, like it or not, the retail influencers in the online space, particularly, are the new merchants. They're the new retail merchants of the online space. They're the ones that curate everything. They're the ones that tell everyone what to buy. So I think let that sink in, everyone. Retail merchants are getting displaced by the influencers in the online space. It's very important to just come to the realization and just buy into it because it's happening. So I like what Best Buy is doing for a number of reasons. One, it plays on that trend. Two,
Hmm.
it shows that Best Buy understands the trend and wants to build tools for this new merchant community. And
Right.
that means, in turn, that number three, influencers will want to work with Best Buy because they'll want to show off their pages and they'll want to get the commissions from this. So it's not that dissimilar to the story we talked about with Dick's Sporting Goods a few weeks ago with their influencer program. So this is the
Yep.
wave of the future. But here's the now. So this is the now. Now I'll talk about the next, the future part. But the really cool thing here is what does this mean for bricks and mortar retailers? Because I think they can figure out how to turn their actual merchandising organizations into influencers as well if they want to. But I've been talking about the first part for 10 years. It's going to take another 10 years for some merchant organization with the 200 plus merchants that they've got running it to be able to take their PR teams and their comp teams and be like, let's put our merchants front and center and allow them to talk about why they're picking the products that they are. And then let the merchants kind of duke it out in terms of who's the best influencer inside those organizations. That's where I see this going in the long run.
So tell me more a little bit about what that looks like in the physical bricks and mortar store sense, Chris. Like, elaborate on that for me, because I get where you're going, but like, what does that feel like, look like in your mind?
Yeah, so if I was going to activate this today, like say if I was back at Target and I was running home furnishings, I would be like, okay, all right, I've got, I think at the time, 50, 60 buyers under me, and they're all picking products, right? Yeah. And they're all picking products, and they should understand their categories better than the average consumer. That's why they have the jobs that they have. Right. So I would go to my marketing team and be like, all right, putting out an RFP to a PR agency that's going to put our merchants in the role of influencer, get them a marketing campaign, get them known in the communities. Put our marketing dollars behind them, because like if they try to do it on their own, it's not going to go anywhere, but they could do it with the power of Target or Walmart behind them. It becomes really powerful, and they can become celebrities in their own right to the advantage of the companies.
Right. That might make the job of buyer a little bit more appealing than it is right now, too, I imagine.
100%.
Those teams are under it right now, just trying to sort through everything that everything that's going on right now.
100%. And then also it helps the rubber meet the road too, because a lot of merchandising success is based on how you operate politically, where this could actually be determined by who actually has the most followers, who brings in the most commissions. Like it turns everything on its head. So I think there's a there. It's just a question of who's going to bite the bullet and do it. It'll be the startups first that'll come up with this idea and go after it, which is what they do already. That's the funny thing about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I love that concept and thought, and I'm excited to see that kind of take shape, and especially if that ends up working, and if that's a tool to acquire new teams within retailers that are, have much more dimension to them and are able to actually do some things that allow their creativity to come through as well. But for me, I think there were 3 immediate wins here. In addition to what you talked about. Number one, I think from a marketing angle, what Best Buy is doing here is really smart, because I think you start to look at how this influencer economy is going to start to shape how marketing spend is done in these retail organizations, because I don't think you're throwing as much money in this case at traditional marketing spend and tactics. You're not throwing money at TV ads and crossing your fingers that you see a sales lift afterward. The best thing that brands can do right now to stay relevant, to increase awareness, and to market is to create content. And this removes Best Buy's duty and expense in creating this content and becoming relevant or staying relevant with today's consumer. I think that, they're only paying influencers when sales are made here. The sales are directly attributable to those influencers. I think this just kind of shakes up exactly how they're marketing to consumers, and for the better. I think the second thing to pay attention to is search. Now, when you think about where people are discovering products, now, not only when I go to Perplexity or Google or wherever I'm going to search these products, Best Buy is showing up in those search results, and the influencers are showing up in the search results. And I think that just boosts both Best Buy and the influencers' relevance, and allows you, again, to show up in more places where people are looking to discover content. And then finally, I think scaled content is another thing here. For these influencers, they're only creating one video. They're taking the content that they're already producing, and then they're able to distribute that now across all of Best Buy's platforms and make more money on it. And they're not capped. They can make, this is endless possibility for them as influencers. So I think those are 3 areas that I'm really keen to follow, what Best Buy is doing, what Dick's Sporting Goods is doing, and just kind of how this whole thing evolves and what that does to our industry as a whole.
Yeah. And I got to call you out for something there that you just said. Do you know what it was?
What?
You said duty.
Duty?
Duty.
Did I say duty?
You said duty. Yes. Duty.
Oh my God.
Duty. And it's duty for Beavis and Butthead fans, and duty for tariffs. So very, very apropos timing again. You said duty. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah. But I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. The one caveat I would have in this story, though, is you still got to get traffic to these pages, right? So the first and foremost thing that Best Buy needs to do is to make the conversion of the sale in social commerce easy for these influencers, which I imagine it's thinking about. But this gives them an easy landing spot for that to happen too. So that's part of
Well,
this
and data to support it. Like they'll know quickly if it's not working. Like they'll be able to see like this person was not able to sell or this person's not converting, and it allows them to like pinpoint that to an exact degree. Where with TV or with out of home or some of these other traditional radio ads, whatever it might be, like you don't have the specificity that you get with these types of campaigns. So I love it.
Great point. All right. Headline number 2. Old Navy is partnering with Radar for the rollout of its AI-powered RFID technology. According to Chain Store Age, in a multi-year phased rollout of indeterminate length, I might add, Old Navy has tapped Radar to implement its real-time inventory tracking technology into more than 1,200 stores nationwide. Radar's RFID and AI platform, which uses overhead scanners that are always on and constantly tracking garments embedded with RFID chips, helps Old Navy to precisely manage inventory and give store associates the real-time information they need to instantly find products anywhere in the store, from the sales floor to the back room. And a 1,200 store rollout seems pretty aggressive to me. If you were a betting woman, what do you think the odds are that this tech actually reaches all 1,200 Old Navy stores? What are the odds?
I don't think I have enough data to make this bet. And so that's where I would say,
come on.
Because I think that there's a major missing piece from this story. And I did as much digging as I could in prep for this show, but all I could find is that Radar's in 600 stores, American Eagle being one of those. But we don't know, like, have they tested this at Old Navy already? How is this working? Like, what's happening? What's the phased rollout of 1,200 stores looks like? I think there's a lot of data to me that's missing that will determine whether or not this is going to be successful. But I will say, I think the case is definitely can be made for this to expand out to all 1,200 stores, because obviously we all know Old Navy is the best performing brand under the Gap Inc. umbrella. And I'd be willing to bet that they could do even more sales than, whatever they were the top performing sales revenue driver this year in Gap's latest reporting. I think if you could find more of that product, exactly what Lily AI CEO Purva Gupta told us, if you can find more product, then you can buy more product. And I would be willing to bet that that is a major issue right now for Old Navy stores, is that there's so much stuff in there that it's really hard for both consumers to find it when they're in store and for them to sell product from the stores online and know exactly like how much inventory they have. So I think this definitely will help them achieve that, and I think could increase sales for Old Navy. But I still feel like I can't put an exact, I would not put any bets on it yet, because I feel like I still need more information. But what would you do?
You're essentially punting. You're punting on the question.
I'm punting.
What is the probability that this rolls out to 1,200 stores? Really? You're punting. Okay. All right.
I do. I think there's more information that I need. And I mean, Spencer, the guy, the CEO of Radar, super smart dude, like one of the most smart people I've ever talked to. But only 600 stores in the US feels like a small number for as long as he's been around. So yeah, I don't have enough data to support it, Chris. I'm sorry.
So you don't have enough data to make a guess. Okay.
I don't have enough data to make an educated guess where I'd be willing to mortgage my home to place this bet. Let's just say that.
I would never ask you to do that on this show, Ann. Okay. But so basically your point is, to recap, your point is, you like the idea and concept. Like we've talked about RFID a lot on this show and the value of it.
Yes.
Yep. Can't make a determination on whether Radar's the right bet or if we'll see this in 1,200 stores. Okay. Well, I'll be a little more pinpointed and exact, which is probably my reputation on this show too, relatively speaking. I give it almost 0% chance of happening, Ann. And at
all?
Yeah.
No,
zero
at all.
Zero. There's no way.
No rollout. No rollout, or you think it'll be
no. I just think it doesn't get to 1,200 stores like they're saying. And there's a lot of reasons I say that. I mean, like, first of all, you said Spencer's a really smart guy. He is. We've met him. We've talked to him. It's also a Y Combinator backed company, which is a good feather in your cap. So they got that going for them as well. But the second part of this too is like the solution as it was shown to us originally used computer vision. So I'm not sure if that's the case here. I couldn't figure that out from any of the articles. I always thought that was a little over engineered for what you need to do in the apparel space as well. And third, this is like the last point I would make on this based on how they're talking about the rollout too. They're saying it's of an indeterminate length, basically, if you read between the headlines.
Yeah.
And so that it feels like you're buying promise versus reality. To your point, they've only tested this in a small number of stores so far. And RFID isn't anything new. There's a lot of companies that have been trying to do it for a long time. They've been trying to crack the code on it. So like, what is Radar doing that others aren't doing that they've suddenly cracked the code out of nowhere on, that Old Navy's saying we're going to invest this capital at a time where capital is hard to come by into 1,200 stores. And honestly, when I go to their webpage too, goradar.com, you can check it out, folks. It's pretty much a static page, and it's not emblematic of a company that I think would be ready for a 1,200 store rollout.
Oh
now,
my God.
I could say, I could argue, okay, maybe this is their second big client. They haven't invested in that. That's fine. But I don't know. And I hope they prove me wrong, honestly, Ann. I hope they do. But if I'm Old Navy and I'm Gap Inc.'s CFO, I'm watching this really closely and possibly even digging in a bit more to it as well. That's my take here. Like, I want to make sure I'm not over committing to this idea based on, on where things stand. But go ahead.
But even
Final
if
word.
it's
What
just,
do you think?
even if it's just RFID alone, like, you don't think this is a smart investment for Old Navy to be making? Just RFID alone.
I think it is, but I think it is, but to go bold and say we're gonna lock ourselves into 1,200 stores with this RFID provider, I think that's an aggressive pitch for me. And that's why we do what we do, to kind of read between the headlines here. Like, are they really going to 1,200 stores, or are they really still in the experimentation stage on understanding how this rolls out? And I think they're decidedly in the former, and I'd be surprised to see it actually get to 1,200 stores in the long run.
So your approach would be you should be testing this with multiple providers before you choose one to roll out with. Is that the issue?
I mean, I think I'm hopeful. I will give Old Navy credit. I'm hopeful they've done that. Yeah. I would just be a little more cautious in your announcement to say, hey, we're rolling this out to, the next tranche of stores because it's proving its worth, versus saying, hey, we're going to 1,200 stores with this company. Because a lot of things can spin out of control if everyone gets too far ahead of themselves from those types of announcements.
Okay, Chris. Well, let's move on to headline number 3 then. Instacart has introduced Will Call Delivery, a new offering tailored to ensure distributors can meet the needs of urgent same-day fill-in orders. According to an Instacart press release, Will Call Delivery is a white label application built for distributors to streamline same-day ordering via their sales reps. Customers who need items fast can pick up their phones, text, or call their sales reps like they always do, and sales reps can request an Instacart shopper pick up items from the warehouse and deliver it to their end customers, all in just a couple of clicks. Additionally, in order to better address out of stocks or service customers that are far from the warehouse, distributors have the ability to place orders from retailers on the Instacart marketplace to ensure that customers are always getting the product they need quickly. Chris, you spent the better part of 2 years questioning Instacart's play to become the operating system for grocers. So are you going to poo-poo Will Call Delivery now as well?
Ooh, we had duty and poo-poo in the same podcast, Dan.
Oh my God. I'm doing a podcast with a 2-year-old. This is ridiculous.
You are, yeah, right. Hey, I'll take that. I'm gonna actually believe it. I'm gonna surprise you. I think I'm gonna say not at all. I'm not gonna poo-poo this at all. I actually like this move. And I think I like it because it scales what Instacart already does well, and Instacart has a right to win in this space. And I can also tell you from firsthand experience, my grandfather used to be a regional food distributor. And by regional, I mean very regional. And I would make sales calls with him to podunk bars outside of the Quad Cities in Iowa, in towns that I can't even
you're
name
kidding me.
anymore. No, 100%. And we would deliver chips and soda and the whatnot to those bars.
Like all the stuff clipped on the back of the bars, like those chips where you're like, that's so amazing.
Yeah, he had a little delivery van. Like, he was like a one-person operation in his 70s. He had a little delivery van. And you know what he would do when he'd run out of things, and he would hightail it to Sam's Club, buy the items in bulk because he wanted to make sure he kept his customers happy. So
Oh my
Instacart is
God.
essentially playing on that. And so that's real. That happens. So I think there's a need state there. And so, yeah, I like it for that reason because it takes what they're already doing and just something they can win at. I think it's a
Oh my
smart play
God.
to add value.
That's so crazy because I was thinking of this because when I used to work at the corn stand during the summer, like
All right, here we go.
this same thing would happen to us where like we'd run out of raspberries and so we'd have to drive across the highway to go to the nearest grocery store, buy like 25 packages of raspberries, and then we'd put them in like the corn stand, like the little bushel box, like farm stand boxes, and sell them because the problem ultimately was if we didn't have those raspberries, like people would get pissed and they wouldn't come back and
Yeah.
they wouldn't come to our corn stand. And so, I mean, that's what I'm thinking about here. Like, I don't think this is a permanent solution. And by no means did our air quote Grandpa Bill want us to be taking money from the till and going to buy raspberries at Cub, but that's what we had to do. Like, it costs you more money, but it saves you customers. And I think that's the key thing here about what this is offering, grocers, distributors, retailers. Like, it keeps people in your ecosystem. And I think that's so important now, especially with the cost of goods going up, with loyalty being a main concern for a retailer or grocer to kind of maintain consumers. I think this is something that it's not a permanent use this all the time solution, but it's definitely in a pinch. This is something that I think will help further establish a relationship with Instacart and the grocers, and then also ultimately with the grocers and their end consumers. And it keeps the Instacart drivers more fully utilized. Like, there's also that part too.
Yeah, right. That part too. And my hunch is that the people are already using Instacart for this too, just behind the scenes. It's not an official
Oh
platform or
yeah,
usage case.
probably.
Yeah. But Anne, I have a question for you. When you would run out of raspberries at the corn stand, would your customers
Yeah.
give you an earful? Would they give you an earful?
Like, is this a corn joke?
Of
Yeah,
course it is,
they
Anne.
would
An
give you an
earful.
earful. And I would have to stop reading my romance novel and have to deal with the same people who would like inspect each ear of corn, Chris, and they would inspect each individual raspberry. But
Oh yeah,
they wanted it. It was all about the
those corn
packaging.
stand shoppers, they're very particular, and those
They're
corn stand shoppers
they're
here in
very
Minneapolis, they're
picky.
very,
They're very
very,
picky. Yeah.
very picky. Well said. Very
Yep. Yep.
nice pun. I like that. All right. Well, let's bring David Dorf of AWS on today's show to educate us all, Ann and I particularly, for the very first time, really, where we've dug into agentic AI. Joining us now for 5 insightful minutes is David Dorf. David is the head of retail industry solutions at AWS. David, welcome back to Omni Talk, and let's get started with this. Gen AI was the big topic for the last 2 years, and now 2025 seems to be the year of the agent or agentic AI, as some might call it. How do you define quote unquote agents?
Yes, good question. So Gen AI is about creating content, while agents are really about taking action. And they both use foundation models underneath. But there's really three key things for agents. Number one, they're autonomous. So they have a role and they require minimal human oversight. Number two, there's reasoning involved. So they actually do this thing called chain of thought, where they break down problems into smaller steps. And number three is they typically have some sort of tools or access to data and tools to be able to take action to do something. So those three things are really what set agents apart. And for example, you can use generative AI to just create an image, but an agent, you could say, I need a specific image that is relaxing and I want it posted to a website. And it can do all of that, right? It's taking multiple steps and it's doing action. So there are lots of different Gen AI use cases out there, but agentic Gen AI is really where things are starting to explode.
So, David, are retailers actually using these agents already today? And if so, how are they using them?
Yeah, it's not quite as prevalent right now because it is pretty
Okay.
new, but for sure. So a great example is Amazon uses agents to do a lot of Java upgrades. Sounds like a boring task, but we have like 30,000 Java applications that need to be upgraded from an older version to a newer version. And we have agents that go through and do that. And it saved us about $260 million last year.
Wow.
Uh, and in addition to just doing those upgrades, they'll also build unit tests and they'll do documentation and things like that. And we've got some other retailers doing some cool stuff like Tapestry, the luxury retailer. They actually have an agent that helps find data and answer questions. It will take your textual question, figure out what database it needs to answer that, convert it to SQL, do the SQL query, and come back with a English answer. So it's kind of like an analyst, but it gives the business a chance to be able to get this information without necessarily having to create all sorts of weird SQL queries. And then we have a tire retailer who's giving recommendations for tires. So you, for example, can say what make and model you have and what you use your car for, and it goes and hits several different resources to figure out what the best tire recommendation might be. And it kind of gives you the reasoning behind why it recommends of one tire over another, which I think is pretty unique.
Wow. And I don't know about you, but I had no idea that agents were already being deployed to the degree which David was saying. I thought this was just kind of the new buzzwordy idea for 2025. But so with that said, David, I'm curious, how do you see agents changing retail even more over the next like 5 years, let's say? What are the big things that are still going to change on this front?
This is where things can get a little bit crazy. One type of agent is a computer use agent. So those were announced by Anthropic and OpenAI. And basically, it has control of your browser. And so it takes a picture of the browser screen so it knows where things are and it can navigate with the mouse and keyboard. And the demonstration that OpenAI gave was using Instacart to do your grocery shopping. There was even a New York Times article where the author bought eggs using a computer agent, just saying, go find me eggs. So if you think about that for a minute, how does that really upend the retail industry with shopping if people are using agents to do the shopping for them? Now, they're not going to do it for like fashion, but for replenishable items, grocery, that sort of thing, I can see that happening. Today, the user interface is made for humans and it's cluttered, and maybe we need to optimize that for agents, just like we did for mobile. We have mobile optimized sites now. Maybe we'll have agent optimized sites that make it easier for agents to buy things on people's behalf. And then you have to start to think about what are some of the other things that could happen? What happens with advertising? There's no use in advertising to an agent. Should I be personalizing? Maybe that doesn't make sense. How do I affect a person when they're using an agent through things like promotions? An agent doesn't care about a promotion. So how do I get that information to a person? What about loyalty? That kind of gets thrown up if I can't really affect behavior. And maybe something like even search. We have a whole industry around search engine optimization. What if it's agents that are out there doing the shopping for us? How is search engine optimization going to change, and how do we influence things differently? I think we're on the cusp of some really interesting changes to the retail industry that agents could bring us. And we need to start thinking strategically about what are the ramifications here and how can we prepare?
Well, David, you just blown both of our minds here.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
so unfortunately, we have to get you out of here on this, but we will be thinking of many more questions. Where do people start? There's a lot that's changing. What do you recommend that retailers do now if they're wanting to explore taking advantage of agentic AI, or just to kind of tackle some of the things that are going to be happening in the future?
Yeah. So number one is basic blocking and tackling, right? So don't get too caught up in Gen AI hype. There's a lot of it out there. Number two, there's a lot of basic Gen AI use cases that you can get a real good return on investment in. Things like creating product descriptions, definitely being able to do things like shopping assistants like Rufus. Those are some low-hanging fruit that retailers should look at. And then we can start to get into the agentic areas where you've got processes that can be automated, and you can really start to, I don't want to say replace people because we're not ready to do that yet, but really enhance the things that people are doing to be more efficient.
Great stuff, David. Thank you. All right. Well, and I can't wait to talk about headline number 5 because, believe it or not, coincidentally too, I might add, folks, Amazon had a big agentic AI story. But before we get to that, we've got headline number 4. San Diego has banned digital only grocery store coupons. According to Grocery Drive, also said Grocery Dive, the City Council for San Diego, California, unanimously passed an ordinance requiring grocers that offer digital discounts or coupons to make corresponding paper coupons and pricing of identical value available to consumers. Whoa, the policy in San Diego is reportedly the first of its kind in the US. In San Diego, according to the city, 53,000 households don't have home internet. And in low income areas or vulnerable communities, over 28% of the households don't have broadband internet access as well. And this is also the put you on the spot question from our folks at the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. And they want to know, quote, do you applaud Ron Burgundy's hometown's attempt for promotional equality or critique the means or perhaps both?
San Diego. I think you're going the entire wrong route with paper coupons. I think this is just it's not the right way to go. I think I just mentioned,
you want to disenfranchise the 53,000 people.
No. I do not want to do that. But I think, like I mentioned in the Instacart story, winning in grocery right now is 100% about loyalty. And it's going to become even more so as tariffs come into place, as, food prices go up. So I think if I were a grocer right now, I would take a hard look at my loyalty program and just apply these discounts to everyone with a loyalty card. Go the way of, Walmart Plus, of Target Circle, where if you just scan the barcode, whether that's, your physical barcode that you have on a card, or you're doing that in a digital form.
Put your phone number in at the cash register or whatever
you get the discounts, because I think it's more valuable for me in the long run as a grocery store owner to have that information about my customers and to use that for other things like, retail media or better, more personalized promotions or things like that, than it is for me to go through the expense of producing a circular or having myself be at risk of like not putting all the right coupons out in time or relying on store labor to put signs up, that kind of thing. Like, I just think you have to focus on being the best price leader, the most personalized shopping experience for your consumers. And that comes down to like focusing hard here on loyalty and not dealing like paper coupons, man. It's just it's going back in time and not taking the right approach. I think that's absolutely the wrong move here.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing too is like, God, how many bullets are lined up against the average grocer, like how many bullets are in the chamber just making their job just harder,
For sure.
But at the same time, right, right, like disenfranchisement is real. And it's partly why, at least for me, like I got into this whole business that we've been in for the past 8 years, is to speak out about technology's impact on the end consumer and to make sure it's being utilized in the right way. So, but I think the point you're making is really interesting here, because the counter is also true, actually, when I think about it broadly in the industry. So, if your store effort couponing is also not, and discounting is also not transparent, it doesn't play well in the opposite space, in the online space. And I think of Kohl's as an example for that. So, so in a world where the two things are blending, stores and online, from an omni-channel perspective, which is what our show's about, I think you're right. It does make sense for retailers to be, and it would be wise for them to get one simplified, easy to understand loyalty promise with their shoppers, however they want to do that. There's lots of ways to do that, but I think you're right. That's what this story tells me, first and foremost, as a retail executive, if I'm sitting in the chair, is like, we have to get our loyalty program moving in that direction so that regardless of how people want to shop, we're not encumbered by the legacy infrastructural needs that are going to bring down our business from a cost perspective or be distracting. 100%. So I think it's an awesome point you brought up.
All right. Headline number 5, Chris. Amazon has a new AI agent that will shop third-party sites for you. According to TechCrunch, Amazon is starting to test a new AI shopping agent, a feature that it calls Buy for Me, with a subset of users. The company announced in a blog post last Thursday. If Amazon doesn't sell something that users are searching for, the Buy For Me feature will display products that other websites are selling. Then users can select and request to purchase one of these products without ever leaving the Amazon shopping app. Behind the scenes, Amazon's AI shopping agent will visit an external website, select a product that a user has requested, fill out the user's name, shipping address, and payment details in order to purchase it, according to Amazon. Amazon said in aforementioned blog post that Buy For Me uses encryption to securely insert your billing information on third-party sites such that Amazon can't see what you're ordering from outside its platform. This is a unique approach compared to OpenAI and Google's agents, which require humans to still fill out credit card information for themselves, as well as Perplexity's AI agent, which has a prepaid debit card to make purchases. Chris, are you pro or con letting an Amazon agent do your shopping for you?
Whoa. Oh man, there's a lot of meat on the bone to that question. I'll tell you this, Ann, I'm definitely game to try it. I mean, I know for a fact you and I both tried to use it yesterday, but I guess neither one of us was in the lucky subset of early users to get.
You got to talk to David Dorf about that. What the heck, man?
How this works. Yeah, David, if you're listening, get us in the beta. But overall, I think this story is massive, Ann. And I say that because, if you get right down to it, Amazon is essentially telling the industry that it now has the power to scrape other retailers' websites and to purchase products on their shoppers' behalves, and the retailers are potentially powerless to stop it. So that has drastic implications to me, particularly on the retail media side of things. Because if people start doing this, the retailers won't get that first-party data anymore. That first-party data is going through Amazon. And so therefore, their networks are going to become less powerful. And therefore, they're going to be forced to even sell more on Amazon or to advertise through Amazon. So net, Amazon wins in this power move because either more retailers will list directly on Amazon as a result of this, because why fight it? Or B, they're going to place more ads on Amazon to show up within Amazon's media network to get the buy. So this is baller strategic stuff to me, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked at the power of it and the brilliance of the power play move here from Amazon. So, and the last point I make is, Google's thinking the exact same way. They have to be.
Yeah.
So, man, the retailers here, I don't know what you do. Honestly, I don't know what you do to thwart either Amazon or Google for this. And it gets kind of scary when you think about all the money going into retail media too. And they've figured out an end around on this too, given the one big if here, which is, will people shop and use agents in this way?
Yeah.
And I think they will over time.
I do too. I mean, I think basically everything that we heard at Shop Talk, what David Dorf was just talking about in 5 Insightful Minutes, like everything's pointing to this is the direction that consumers are going to go. And I think convenience is a big play here. Like you think about, a lot of people are starting their seek and destroy shopping missions on Amazon because they know that they can get it done quickly. They have the return guarantee of like, it's an easy thing for me to return if I don't end up liking it. So, I mean, obviously all of the puts and takes of how that is all going to shake out when you're using agents on Amazon to purchase these goods outside of an Amazon platform, like that stuff is all probably still in the works. But I imagine we're getting to a place there where, people, just like with Buy with Prime, like you have the confidence when you're shopping that, if you order from this place, it already has all my information saved. It's still a one-click to buy situation. And I think that you still have a lot of work that needs to be done on some of the other platforms in order to do that. Now, I think you bring up a good point with Google. And I do think that Google does have a unique position here as well, because when you think about how well Google can personalize some of this shopping experience, maybe you don't need the consumer sending out the agent with the directive. I think Google's going to come at it a different way and be able to take everything that they know about you from your activities in the Google sphere, from what you're shopping on, what you're searching and shopping and watching on YouTube, what you're getting in your Gmail inbox, what's on your Google Calendar, like everything that you're doing in all your Google Docs. Like they can start to pull that information to really personalize the experience, so it's more of a like push experience than a pull or an outward experience that I'm doing on an Amazon. So I think net Agentic Shopper, consumers using Agentic Shoppers is one of the biggest takeaways for me from Shop Talk. I think that's something we really have to focus on. And to your point, there's a lot of money to be made here in retail media, in how we're advertising and promoting products, both to the agents and both to me as a consumer who's still shopping for products. And this is just a huge move for Amazon to kind of go in that direction, start pressure testing it in a place that I'm already comfortable shopping as a consumer.
Yeah, that's the part for me. I mean, I think, Amazon's click to buy is just so powerful, and the confidence that they already have my credit card information, my shipping address, all that kind of stuff, relatively speaking, it's so easy. It makes this just kind of a no-brainer for me. But, the other point I make as I step back from this is like Google and Amazon have dominated search for a long time. Like, what are they, 80% of the search market already, if not more? And that's still going to be the case, even more so. Like, just more of the end commerce is going to be pushed through this. And so, and I mean, it sounds like Amazon's basically just going to subsidize this through Prime, right? I don't even know how they make money on this necessarily, other than getting people to list on them over time in the long run, or getting the retail media dollars to have their products show up so that people are buying, from the companies that are going this way with them. So yeah, I mean, God, it's just so scary for the retailers in my mind in terms of how these two big behemoths actually become more and more powerful in a game they already dominate.
Right. And it just makes the case for how are your products ready to show up? Because in the interim, you have to still be showing up in all of these places, because it's just like you're saying, going more and more away from I'm going to lululemon.com to find product like that might completely go away. And now these these agents that will put on the task of find me a sports bra in this size and ship it to me in 2 days. Like, that's how I think the future of search and shopping is going to go forward.
Well, I think it will, because like we should tell the audience that when you and I were looking yesterday to try to use this, we both were like, what should we search? And we're both like Lululemon, because we were like, okay, it's springtime. It's not cold in Minneapolis anymore. I know kind of what I want. I want to see what they've got. I have been delaying looking at it to see if, I want to plunk down some money for it, because I know it's expensive, but like that was what I looked for. And had they had it, I probably would have bought it.
Yeah,
I probably would have tried it.
They don't have a store on Amazon as of right now. Like we knew that we knew that was something that they'd have to go outside to search. Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, David, get your people together and get Chris and I on the beta test so we can start testing, sending our agents to do our bidding.
Dig out our personal information, David, and get us on the beta. All right. Let's go to the lightning round, Chris. Question number 1: customers have been stockpiling even more items as of late that may be impacted by the latest tariffs that President Trump announced last week. Chris, is there an item that you're keen to stock up on? Oh man. Well, it's not toilet paper, Ann, because as you know, as you let the listeners in on the little secret, I travel with my own, so I'm feeling very well stocked up on that. But I guess I would say I don't really have anything that comes to mind. For me, I think it would be my dream car purchase, which would be a Mercedes G-Wagon. I would love to stock up on those.
Ooh, you better get that now. Yeah, you better get that now. No, like right? French wine or like maple syrup from Canada. You don't need to, nothing like that.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, anyone wants to send me those. Yeah, for sure. I'd stock up on all those. But, I'm not a very consumptive person given the fact that we do a retail podcast in general. Yes. But, all right. Number 2, a biotech company this week said that it has bred 3 animals with key physical features of the dire wolf, a species that has been extinct for more than 1,200 years. If you could bring back 12,000 years. Oh my God. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that correction too. That's an important point. If you could bring back one other species from extinction, what would it be?
Well, clearly the dire wolf is an important one to me because I know exactly how long it's been extinct for. But I have to say, dinosaurs. You got to bring back a dinosaur. Like, maybe not a giant one.
You want to go full on Jurassic Park. That's what you want to do.
Hell yeah, I do. I do. I mean, when you want to see...
I got to get off this world, man.
But wouldn't you want to see a dinosaur in real life? Like, I just want one, and I don't want it to be like a meat eater. I just want it to be like a big brontosaurus or something. Like, just so we can understand the pure magnitude of what life must have been like when there's just a brontosaurus in your backyard.
I'm good. I don't need the Flintstones. I don't need the Flintstones in my backyard, Ed. I'm good. Aww. I'm good. My mind can't take the cognitive load that's being heaped upon it right now. I'm good. I'm good without dinosaurs in my life, okay. Ed. I think I am.
All right, fair. Okay, well, Chris, we're gonna move on to a vacation-focused one then, so we can reduce your cognitive
take me away.
load.
Calgon, take me away.
Okay, White Lotus aired its final episode of the season last Sunday. If you got to
Which I
hand
have
out
not
your
seen yet, so don't spoil anything
I
for me
won't.
with this
I'm not going to
question.
spoil
All
it.
right.
I'm not going to
All
spoil
right.
it, but
Good.
you need
Good.
to
Good.
watch
Good.
it soon. If you got to hand out Emmys for the following categories for the cast of White Lotus, who would win them?
Ooh.
I want to know, who did you think was the best actor? Who is the most
Okay.
hated character? The most
Okay.
loved character?
Okay.
And which character would you most like to be on a trip at the White Lotus with? Those are your categories.
Okay. Got it. Now I haven't seen the show, so fans, just give me some grace here because I haven't seen the final show. So especially for the hate question, I think that one's gonna be
For sure.
particularly
For
interesting
sure.
if I haven't seen the whole show. All right, so best actor. This one might surprise you, man. I'm going with Patrick Schwarzenegger. I think he crushed it on that show this year. I think he
Yeah,
was
he
really,
did.
really good and a very talented actor. He showed me a range and depth of emotion that I was surprised to see from him, man.
Oh, old Saxon. He had a lot of stuff happening in this season. Absolutely. I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
did a good job. Okay.
Yeah, he was good. I liked him. Most loved was Parker Posey. Like
Oh God.
Piper, no, like I just love her. She's so funny.
Piper,
Piper,
no.
no. And we just have to do that
It's a
because everyone's doing that.
cult.
Yeah. Most hated. I think I'd go with Michelle Monaghan's character. I don't remember her name, but the
Oh,
TV actress. I just don't like her. I think she's just annoying.
Jacqueline.
Yeah,
No.
Jacqueline. Yeah, I think she's just annoying.
Okay.
And if I had to take somebody on a trip with me, I don't know her. I think her name's Mook on the show. I'm going
Oh,
with the
Mook,
Korean
yeah.
K-pop star because
Yeah.
she's pretty darn good looking. I wouldn't mind going on a trip with her.
I
She'd be a good travel companion for me.
She seems fun too. Like
Seems
she's got a
fun.
little danger to her.
Yeah.
She wants
Yeah.
guy talk to step it up a little bit. I think she'd be a fun, challenging vacation opponent. So I agree with your categories. Parker Posey, man, this is gonna relaunch her career though.
Yeah.
I love that for sure.
I don't know what a vacation opponent is, but I'm glad I get to think about that for the first time. A
You do
vacation
now.
opponent. I'm
Yes.
taking an opponent on vacation with me. All right,
Yeah,
last
she's
one.
gonna challenge you.
She's gonna challenge me because I need to be challenged. All right, National Burrito Day was on April 3rd last week, and we were on spring break. I didn't celebrate it. I'm curious, one, if you did, but two, what is currently, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but it's been a number of years since we brought it up again. What is currently the number one thing that you think screws up a good burrito?
Okay. Well, I did not celebrate
didn't
because I
either.
was in the
Yeah, me
least
neither.
likely burrito place of Vancouver, Canada. We ate sushi on that day instead of which I guess you could have a sushi burrito, but we did not. Okay. The biggest thing to mess up a burrito, I think I stand by sogginess. Like if you have too much liquid
Sogginess.
in a burrito, that's a
Yep.
problem. So I think that the solution to, and the best burritos that I've had, they like melt the cheese right away on the tortilla and then use that as like a double defense layer to keep all the ingredients
double defense.
included. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I think. If you're going to make a good burrito, you put the cheese on the bottom and like let it melt so that it can like double protect any of the sogginess from happening from the tomatoes or lettuce or other ingredients. But
Yeah,
that's
I
my
like that. I like that.
analysis
It's
of
good,
the burrito.
good.
Have you
that's a
changed
good-
your stance?
No, my number one is still the loose fold. I don't like the loose fold, but I think if you bring the loose fold in tandem with the wetness of the burrito, then you've
Yeah.
got disaster. That's like almost unedible. It's like
Soggy
it's
doggy.
like-
That's not working.
yeah, the soggy doggy burrito. That's just not good for anyone. All right, happy birthday today to Dennis Quaid, Kristen
Oh,
Stewart, and to the real. You like Dennis Quaid?
Oh my God. I've been obsessed with
Um,
Dennis Quaid for my entire life. Yeah.
He's such a skeezy dude. Oh man,
Oh.
oh god. All
now,
right, well,
sure. But yeah.
he's-
Happy birthday,
I
Dennis
don't know.
Quaid.
I'm Team Meg. I'm Team Meg versus Team Dennis. All right, Kristen Stewart, and to the real Rudy, the underdog hero of my '80s heart, the lovely Keisha Knight Pulliam. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. And because you're staring at me, that she played Rudy on the Cosby Show. Make it OmniTalk.
Oh,
The
God.
only retail.
Okay.
There she goes. There she goes.
I was thinking
the
of
only
Rudy the football film.
I know. That's why I threw it that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
I threw it that
okay.
way. I threw a little thing. I thought you'd know Keisha Knight Pulliam, but I guess you're not up on your Cosby actors like Malcolm Jamal Warner and Lisa
I know
Bonet.
him. I know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fourth sister who no one knows the name of. Like, I have no idea what her name was. Sandra was her name on the show, and her husband Elwin. But anyway, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, and if you've stuck with us this long, by God, make it OmniTalk, the only retail outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive. And also, it regularly features exclusive content that we, Ann and I, both take a lot of pride in doing just for you. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail. So until next week, on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk Retail, on behalf of Ann and myself, as always, be careful out there.